Dave, I am so excited to have you on the show. It's been a long time coming. For those who don't know you, maybe you can give everybody just an overview, a highlight of kind of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Dave. I've run Metajive basically my whole life. Metajive is a design studio focused on really next level user interfaces. Obviously, AI is throwing everything we do in a new direction, and it's super exciting. We focus on really leveraging the tools to help businesses do what they need to do.
That's awesome. Now, Metajive has been around for quite some time. How long has Metajive been around now?
Well, it depends what iteration it is. I basically started it in my dorm room in college and have kind of been working on it one way or the other ever since then. But really, right around 2008 is when things got pretty serious. And then another big push around 2016.
Yeah. So maybe you could help us understand kind of what problem are you guys solving for?
So every single one of our projects is different. So we have certain clients where they're going to come to us, we're going to build them a website, we're going to kind of like fix their communication and do things like that. We have others where we have a very specific problem. We worked with AAA, and our goal was to redo the whole website and checkout funnel with the goal of increasing new member signups and then increase the value of each checkout. So it's like very cut and dry. We have other clients like California Community College Chancellor's Office, who we've worked with forever. And we're constantly evolving as they evolve as an organization. And with them, we're really focusing on serving the students, the taxpayers, and everyone else to make sure they can find every federal dollar, every state grant, every way to know that they can go to community college for free. And sometimes that's just creating information, and sometimes it's creating tools, planners, all sorts of things, and each one gets complex in its own way. And then we've completely other shaped clients, like a lot of the work we do with Google. We'll be working on something for 6 months before it sees the light of day, and it came to life as 4 screens, but was 400 in the process of getting there.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. So tell me this. You've been in this tech world for a long time. What do you see as being different right now in this period that we're working in? And what do you see as being the same?
Yeah, so there's transition, which means it's the same because there's always transition. But right, going from Flash to kind of Web 1.0 to Web 2.0 to I don't know what Web 3.0 actually was, but it feels like we're at a moment of inflection, a moment of fundamental shift. The biggest change that's different than other things we've had is AI lives outside the browser, and it's going to be integrated with everything. So in some ways, it's really similar to when APIs became a thing, and then we allow people to interact with APIs and do things. And it almost feels like the API revolution 2.0, because agents are great, but we're only going to spend so much time typing in a box all day. The data has to get somewhere. It has to do something. So A to A, MCPs, whatever protocol we're going to focus on, that's where the real action is. Because until that ecosystem gets developed, we're talking to a we're talking to a bot that is right most of the time, and it's going to suddenly have an incredible answer, and then suddenly take all the work you've done and throw it out the window and make stuff up.
It's interesting that you say that because it reminds me kind of like, and you've been around long enough to have seen this, it almost feels like we're back in the early days of the internet where, for a while it was just static HTML pages. Then there were, applications that were kind of connected to like a database, but then there was this next shift that kind of came
Yeah.
along after that, and it just continued to get. And then along comes mobile. Like, is that kind of how you see things in this era now? Kind of similar, or what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. The dead on, right? And there's a lot of hairs to split as you talk about just like what is AI like the internet and what's it not like it. We just did a presentation for a big financial institution, and we said like AI is its own internet, and we were talking about AEO and doing the work on your website and off your website to get people to find you, to consider you, to think about you, to change the narrative of you as a company, and how all of that works. So I think that's a really interesting place to come from. I think there's a tool element that, like I said, really similar to the API creation phase where there was like, right. I love how you referenced like there was that stage where there was like applications, but it was really just like kind of happening on the page, and
Yeah.
maybe you'd click a save button and it would save some data or something, and now right, it's gone so far, everything's real time saved in Google Docs and all that. So if you're really old, you think not saving things is a miracle.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's amazing how that happened. And then we are going back into a phase that is very tool focused. At least from my lens, we're really leaning in on applied AI.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think it's different is AI gets to build on top of the internet. And when we started building the internet, there was nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been able to absorb Wikipedia. It's been able to absorb all of these resources from, Travelzoo to Travelocity to, I don't know, and any source on there to YouTube and decode and transcribe every single YouTube video. It reminds me of when I first started working on it, the internet. Someone told me if you read the New York Times cover to cover, it's like 32 hours. Obviously, you can't do that every day because it's longer than a day. So we have this AI, which I kind of think of as the world's biggest database, and then you're putting some new interaction models that are very much yet to be established on there. I think that's probably another really interesting place to go later, but we can come back to that. Is the fact that we get to build on a tool that has so much knowledge from the start, and we're able to interact with it on this publicly available data. And what we're not doing yet is dealing with it on the private available data because there's so few A to A's and MCPs.
Yeah.
So it's like we're going to see another shift in this personalization.
Yeah, I love how you connect on this thought of data, and data really coming from completely different from the way that we've looked at it for a long time, right? Structured data, right? Columns,
Mm-hmm.
rows, pushing that out. Now we've got unstructured data, and now we've got to think about data that is not just data that is centralized within our organization, but data that comes from everywhere, right? That's a wild concept. So I guess my question to you is, when you think about tools, because you kind of brought this up, what are people not thinking about when it comes to tools that they need in order to be successful as they kind of go down this AI path?
So that's really interesting. So I think just like the really crazy days of the internet where it was really exciting because it could do something new every day, with the capabilities of what AI is changing, the tools we can build for an organization by either feeding in private data, by allowing certain people to access certain types of data and other people not to, where we're changing the world. I think input tools are a really interesting place as well, And we're not building any of these for people, but I know in medical, people have AI note takers and transcribers. All of us do. I have it in all of my meetings. I have Gemini sit in, take notes, transcribe, and then build workflows on top of, okay, well, here's the keynotes and key takeaways from all your meetings today. Here, how do you want to act with this? How do you want to do that? What I think people aren't thinking of is the private data and where we are going and where we need to go. Probably my hottest take is on that. I think everyone's wrong and Apple is going to win the AI race. And because I think at the end of the day, it's going to be model agnostic. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of great models. I think someone like Apple could build on 3 or 4 models. They can buy Anthropic, right? They could probably buy Google if they wanted.
Yeah.
But for an end result that I don't think is a stretch for people to see, but to really be successful, for all of us to have our own agent, our own assistant, our own, like, the best possible person or robot to assist us.
Yeah.
It has to have access to all of the context of all the pieces of our lives. And that doesn't mean it has to know what the news is. It has to know what the news is. It also has to know what news I've seen and what I haven't seen. It also has to know that I got a text from my mom about X, or I didn't get a reply from my mom about X, or here's what's happening, and here's all of the information in my email, in my calendar, in my bank. What is my bank account? What's it? So it can give me better, more personal things. And I think Apple's the only people setting up for us to really trust them with that level of data. And then it's also inherently getting it because it sees what I do on my computer and it sees what I do on my phone. And I just wrote a blog post where I was talking about this at the lowest level and saying, if I just say, hey, I need some black shoes, I think everyone goes like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable that it knows Dave's a size 11. But how much better do those recommendations get when it said, oh, Dave reads high society, so he's going to be into this type of shoe and not this type of shoe.
Yeah.
Or Dave does work for Nike, so I'm going to recommend Nikes and not Adidas because he's a brand loyalist. Or it told me say that to someone in a text message. That's all context it can get kind of now before, we're wearing a dongle around our neck or whatever, or some eyeglasses, which I think is coming as well.
Man, you have just dropped a ton of bombs on us here. Some really great things to think about. One of the big takeaways from your statement here is the matter of trust and how critical that is, and who we're going to trust and how we're going to trust it, and the need for AI agents to have access to the right data. Right now, not only do they need to know that you want a pair of black shoes and you like, high society, but like, oh, are you asking that you want black shoes because you're going to a wedding or you're going to a ball game, right? 2 different pair of black shoes. All of that is context, which is so critical. When we think about like AI skill cards for agents, where you've got to understand, like, they got to know what systems do you need access to, what data do you need access to, what are the risks for giving this agent access to this information, right? All of those are critical pieces of information that have to happen. So
yeah, and I think the information on me, the stuff that's most closely guarded, and having it already know that is what's going to change the game.
Man, so that changes the game for people as individuals. But can you talk a little bit about how that combination changes the game for companies, right? Because I'm not just hiring Dave, now I'm hiring Dave plus his agents.
Yeah, I mean, I think companies are a series of people. So I think we're going to have to change how we interact with each other and be comfortable with our agents talking to each other as well inside of work, which is a whole new concept.
Mm-hmm.
trust and outside systems and things like that. I think as well, the idea of, I see people, and there's a little gray, but there's not much here, fall into two camps. There's people who go, hey, ChatGPT, write this for me. And they go, great, I'm going to copy paste that. I'm going to put that in. And like, it did it. And then I see people go, hey, Gemini, do this. Oh, this is great, but I like this part. I don't like this part. I do like this. I don't like this. Also, please remember to re-reference this style, do this, write it, and then give the same amount of feedback or more on the second draft and continue to push as a partner in thought and drive through that. And I think there's people who are used to, right? Because in Google, you can't say, oh yeah, make this better, right? You're like, you got the results.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're looking for information or you're finding something, I think as well, for driven creatives, it gives us permission to really like look forward and ask and be really pointed and push through all of the things that are in there. And I think accepting things, people who accept things at face value or are unmotivated aren't going to last because those are the things that could get automated. Those are the things that can be replaced. The things that can't is the critical thinking and improvement of everything we're getting out of it.
Yeah. So if I am a business leader and I'm thinking about, how we add value in the future, how do I need, what do I need to think about now in this new agentic world that I wasn't thinking about last year?
I mean, I can tell. Look, I'm glad you said now because next year I don't know what we're going to need to think about. We don't know where it's going to be. I think making the way I'm framing it is making the most of the people we have. So things like accounts payable, right? There's your finance person has to get an invoice from someone. They have to pair it and check if there's a PO that exists for it. They have to check if that work is done. They have to make they have to update a spreadsheet or a system in QuickBooks, something like that. I didn't pay for someone who's the top of their finance class coming out of a elite university to check if the PO matches the invoice or send a message to someone asking if it's approved. That's something where, but until now we couldn't because, right, we had to get our OCR reader. We have to look at it. We have to go, this is the invoice number. This is the item. This is the PO. And right. And if people start not entering their PO numbers or something, then it gets routed. But if we can help that person be way more useful to the organization, do a bunch of things that are arguably more exciting in their day than that, become a real collaborator and leverage 80% of it. And they have to oversee it. They have to spot check things. They have to understand what it is. Like one of the tips I give people when we're outputting things from an AI workflow is put the confidence level, have it read the confidence number of how successfully it thought that task was next to it, because maybe we want to go spot check the 80s. Maybe we want to spot check the 70s, right? We're going to see what success looks like and what it's not, because maybe they used a funny font or something. But giving those tools and that information in an easy way. And again, when you need someone else's approval, I'm indifferent if I get a message from a bot or from a human. If they're just saying, is this invoice approved? Is this just generic vanilla things that people have? So as the CEO, I just go, okay, well, great. If I'm taking 20% or 40% of someone's workload off, I ideally want to go, well, where can I supercharge that person? What other value can they contribute? And I don't like these conversations about static team sizes or replacing teams with bots because it means you don't see anything of value from these individuals. And I think when you have someone in your organization, in general, they probably know more, see more, and can contribute somewhere greater. So I still want to automate everything I can. That makes sense because I want to take the burden off the people to allow the people to contribute more and be used in a different way.
Again, some really great thoughts, and I just want to be just a little controversial here. It's interesting. I am definitely pro. Let's get as much AI and as much agents in to automate everything that we possibly can, especially those things where I just get annoyed with humans, right? So, like, for instance, like going to a fast food restaurant, going through the drive through, and they get my order wrong 95% of the time, and I don't order anything complex, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then I go to the next one where they're using the new AI agents and they get it right 100% of the time, right?
Yeah.
And so I apply that even in the workforce. I think that it's a wake up call, but in a good way, because there's a lot of employees who have taken work for granted, right? They feel like I'm not contributing really, right? I'm just checking the box. So does this invoice match? Yes. Like their brains are just kind of zoned out. I think we live in a world where that's happened so much that
Mm-hmm.
AI agents can come in and get rid of this uselessness. And now it's up to us as people to say, here's where I add value. But I think that's a different type of worker because now you have to hire someone who cares deeply about your company, your mission, your value, and you can't hire somebody who's going to jump jobs in 18 months, which is that's right. What 24, 18 to 24 months is how long people stay at companies. Like it's a new type of employee that you have to find and you've got to invigorate, right? So I think that's
I
a
mean, I feel lucky that I have that team. Like our average team members here, like 4.5 years right now. Everyone, I always say that the reason you want to work here is to create great experiences. You want to give your all and do the best work of your life. So I've built a culture of that, and everyone from HR to finance knows what they're supporting and how they're doing it. That said, I don't work at Chipotle where it's like maybe perfect measures and perfect sanitation and all that is a feature for whoever makes my burrito. Although I want to see that robot, I want to see how that happens because those
yeah,
people are magic.
exactly.
When they make that happen, they figure it out. But they are great at it. And then it is a different workforce. It is a different work environment right now, and people have to really understand what they offer, and people have to make it clear what they're doing. So I don't think that that's controversial. And I mean, trust me, if the AI agent's getting it right 100% and the humans are getting it wrong 95% of the time, then yeah, like every business has its interest of providing the best experience it can.
Yeah.
And that's what it's focused on.
I love that thought. That's so
But
key.
Kev, can I ask you a question?
Oh, love it, bro. Come on.
Because I'm in a place right now where I was actually just using AI this weekend. I was using ChatGPT to help me plan a trip, going on the trip, and it just all of a sudden lost context, freaked out. I had to copy all of my chats. I had about 15 chats that when I copied them holistically out of the browser version, I created a Google Doc with 127 pages of conversations I had. The number of times I said, "Can you do that again?" et cetera, et cetera. I feel like there's a lesson in that exercise on its own. But suddenly it became unreliable. Whereas the beginning, it's a godsend. Oh, you should see this. You should do this. We should do this. Oh, think about this for your trip. And then all of a sudden, it's like, my flight time is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying at the wrong hotel. Like, we're just building an itinerary, but we had a lot of conversations to get where we are, and we did a lot of exploration. That wouldn't happen with a person. As we said, right? People make mistakes, but when you say, "All right, lock this in," we're staying here, we're doing that. It's not going to suddenly just change it. Or the little things of like, this feels like there's a lot of dead time, but so I'm going to do this thing from 3:30 to 4:30, and then we're going to dinner at 6, and it's like, you're right, and then it just doesn't put anything else there. So I think, what's the biggest crazy hallucination you've seen lately is my question. And then, how have you found any way to get your agent back when it suddenly just hits the wall? Because it goes from 0 to 100.
Yeah, 100%. And so it's interesting. I kind of bounce between ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, right? And in that order, right? And that's the order in which I use things. And over the past month, since ChatGPT 5, everything in ChatGPT 5 is a mess, right?
Yes.
So ever since the day of the loss, everything doesn't remember anything anymore. And so I've definitely been seeing that happen. But one of the things that we have done, which is really what a lot of companies need to be thinking about, is you can't be reliant on the application as the source, but you have to build your own data library for things. And so one of the things that we've done for our chat GPT, so we have, it's interesting, I have 3 chat GPT accounts. One for our corporation, right? We have a corporate account. I've got my personal account that I use for my strategic things. And then I have one for my personal life, right? Where I keep all of that kind of separated out, right? Because I don't want it giving me crazy answers, which I had it do one time where it gave me this really mix of 3 different worlds. I'm like, wait a minute, it's crossing 3 worlds in a way it doesn't really understand, right?
Yeah.
And so, and the funny way that I found that out one time was, we were playing around with the family. And we asked ChatGPT to create a song for us, and it brought in things from 3 different worlds that I didn't think that it knew to mix. So it was kind of funny. And I'll post that song that I brought out. It was just hilarious. But one of the things that we do is we feed it data which from connectors, right? So in ChatGPT, it pulls in data from our data source, and we specifically have data that is designed to feed it instructions on how to think, right? And where to pull information from. So there's and in our profile we say, pull your core information from here to make sure you get your key instructions.
Yeah, your system prompts.
Yeah, exactly. So it knows, oh, I'm always going to go back and reference this as my core. And so it kind of always has that piece there. I think that's what kind of saves us. Those are kind of tips and tricks that some people don't think about, that you've got to make sure that you have your own set of core information. Because what I like to say, and I've said it often, is I don't believe that it's not AI that hallucinates, it's the data that hallucinates, right? So the data that it's pulling from is where you get the problem. And these systems, when they do change, they don't know where to pull the data from anymore, and that's where it gets mixed up. So keeping it streamlined so that they know, oh, this is my source, and I know to always check this source has helped us. But we've seen, especially after ChatGPT 5 was launched, it was a mess for a while, and I still get a few funky results. So it's crazy. You're not wrong.
Do you think they shrunk the context window, or like the memory allotment or something? That's my biggest guess, is that they're trying to save money with GTP.
They totally do. They totally do. And I've seen it a lot lately as they've been adding users. Like now I'm getting throttled all the time, and it will tell you, hey, you're getting throttled, right? And that's why I then switch over to Gemini, because Gemini's recently released some new features in its memory that it didn't have before. And Gemini is actually, I'm seeing it get a little better, right? And so, and then for some complex stuff, we use Claude, but not as regularly as we do the other two platforms. So,
Claude is terrific for anything organizational steps, like deterministic.
yes,
It's the most logical of all of them. And I also agree, right? Because when I ran into this massive hallucination problem, again, I put it in a Google Doc, and then I brought that Google Doc into Gemini, and I had it do deep think, and I said, pull out every single location we talked about and put it in a spreadsheet with these fields. Reread this in order and rebuild the itinerary based on what you think the best version of the final outcome that we had was. Or I think I gave it a hint and go like, it's something like this, but I know it's missing a lot. But I was just working with it, like you said, as the source of truth. And then suddenly the source of truth was not the source of truth anymore.
Yep.
And it was really hard to go back.
It was really hard to go back. So one of the things that we've been doing, obviously, is building. We use other third-party tools to build on top of to make sure, especially for our customers, that they have the right source of truth, so that we prevent all that stuff. So that's a topic for another discussion another day.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm spending too much brain power because I'm not going to be able to influence it is on Bedrock and Katana in the AWS stack. And to me right now, as we're building applied AI things, that is the most important piece of the entire stack. And when you go back to like my Apple example, where it has all of my text messages and every web page I visited and all of that, like the Dave knowledge library is going to get enormous. And that piece of the stack of finding the right pieces for me, that what they reference, that's the gold mine. That's the biggest opportunity.
100%. I agree with you, man. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. One thing that I love, that you have this culture where you've got people who stick around for a long time. We've got the same thing. I think we've got probably 3 people who would have been with our company for over 10 years now. So that's like, this has become home. That's the culture and family that we love to build. But that allows us to grow and do great things, just like you guys do. And you guys do a lot of cool stuff. We love that. Hey, I know you've listened to our show, and the audience knows that this is something that I love to talk about, kind of as the wrap up thing. Though I love music, I just absolutely love it. So tell me, give me a great song that I should go and jam out to later on today.
Well, I got a 9-year-old, so I'm listening to the Zombies soundtrack a lot, and it's oddly catchy. I think the other dads would say K-pop Demon Hunters is a do not miss. People are all over that, and it's better than I want it to be.
I think it's intentional that they make it that catchy, right?
I mean, it's good, and I think it's good to just understand what's out there. And I've been looking to see what's out there, but I'm going to keep it to the kids. Just a different kid. One of my younger employees, she's like 24, 25 years old. She's amazing. We're friends on Apple Music, and I've been listening to Renee Rapp, which is, she's all 25 years old, probably like, I think like a more modern Olivia Rodrigo. And I think you should check out that album. It is really good. It is not appropriate to listen to with your 9-year-old, I'll tell you that. But like, yeah, it's probably the first pop album I've been excited to listen to in a while.
Oh man, that's awesome. This has been so great. You've shared some amazing truth bombs on this show, man. Absolutely love it. And hopefully, you'll be interested in coming back and have another conversation with me again.
I'd love to. When I have something worth sharing, we'll be back.
All right, man. Hey, thanks so much, Dave. Glad to have you on the show.
Thanks, Kevin.